I'm all bundled up because it's snowing. And I love the snow. So, I'm currently in Sweden. Look at that. Look at that snow. I know snow can disrupt a lot, and it can be difficult in a city especially. And I do feel for anyone who might be experiencing problems heating their home, who don't have a home, who are perhaps older or more frail and suffering the cold more. So I say this with the awareness of that, but there is an absolute beauty to the snow. And for me, it always brings a sense of peace. I feel that there's a kind of silence, if you ignore the helicopter flying above, interrupting my silence, but hey. But yeah, just this, everything is a little bit muffled, and it forces us to slow down. It forces us to, or it asks of us to be more compassionate. If somebody is late, people will generally be more understanding if it's snowing, because it does disrupt, it does add extra challenges. And I love that. I love that, if it's just a normal day and you're late, there'll be a lot less understanding in general. Of course, it depends on the person. And this is it. But brings out this inner joy in me. What child doesn't enjoy the snow? Surely it's a gross generalization to assume that all children like it. But there's enough snow. You can throw yourself into it and not worry about getting hurt. Like when you're on the beach and there's lots of sand or in water, these places ask of us perhaps to ignite that inner child and play. Now, there's not enough snow here to do that, so I'm not going to throw myself onto the ground and wave my arms around and create some invisible angel. People going, what is that woman doing? But considerations as I take my morning walk. So the last video I made was in Wales, and it was just after a retreat, and I was about to do a digital skills course, which I've now done. That was really interesting. One of the things that was interesting was the regularity of it. My life, I don't have a lot of things that are regular. I don't have a place to go to every day with the same commute, where I have to think about the same kind of rhythms. I take my lunch at the same time, and perhaps it might even be the same lunch. Do I take packed lunch to save money, or what are the places there in the vicinity that I can eat at, seeing the same people, and then also having that focus of an end goal that every day you're working towards. So I really enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect, There were certainly some things about it that I found a bit tedious, a bit mundane. Not everything that we learnt was very useful, but overall, My particular interest was in the website design aspect, and that was, I have to say, it was amazing how much you can learn and achieve in a short space of time. And it was really inspiring. Now, what didn't I take with me? Tissues. Sniffle, sniffle. Great. Nope, not one. So I achieved that, and now I'm visiting family in Sweden, and it's been a long time since we've seen each other, so it was long overdue. And some of the discoveries that I have made in the time being since my last sharing, for whoever may be watching this, even just for me, I discovered a YouTube channel recently, just in the last few days, that I really like. And it's essentially this person sharing from their heart and speaking really authentically and without any editing or scripting, and you see so many YouTube channels where any pauses or too much silence, it's like, got to cut that out, and you see all these jilted images, and there is a rhythm that does kind of keep you hooked. But then I think, look at the success, if we want to use that word, of long form podcasts, and how they just exploded. The whole sit down, have a conversation. Who doesn't like to do that? Make yourself a cup of tea, which I'm going to do in a moment, and just explore, just converse. There might be some things that you want to talk about. There might be some vague, not script, but some points that, some research, some content, but then ultimately you see where it goes. And in this very mediated world, I find it really refreshing and inspiring and reassuring when I find people speaking from their hearts, people being authentic and real and vulnerable and sharing that. And I feel that there's us as humans, as we're social beings, and that connection that we can feel with another human being, is so powerful and precious. Have you ever had like an experience, you're waiting in the queue, I don't know, at the airport. This happened to me quite a bit the other day as I was traveling, or in a cafe, you're sat there, or whatever kind of situation, somebody starts talking to you, a complete stranger, and then you have the most amazing conversation. You might exchange, or maybe even not a conversation, you just exchange like a little remark about something silly that's happened in your vicinity, or something cute, or an animal, or whatever it is. And it's just that simple, beautiful, heartfelt connection that brings a smile to my lips, for sure. So I assume also to some others. And so finding this YouTube channel, I was so happy. And his content is beautiful, beautiful. His journey, his growth, him wanting to be authentic, him wanting to speak from his heart. And I'd like to explore that a little bit more in another video when my fingers aren't freezing off, which are interrupting the synapses in the brain. That's another challenge, eh? But it's made me reflect on my sharings and what I'm hoping and aiming to be able to bring in my own way, humbly, and for whoever might resonate with this in whatever way. And it is really hard to be authentic. It's hard to be so transparent. And there's the part of me that I don't want my life to be just on display, and that's not, I don't intend to be, doing that, but certainly my reflections and my experiences, in the hope that in community we can use these media platforms for good, for connection, to enhance our community and our ability to connect with each other, and our abilities to, or our sensations that we can be authentic in ourselves, and in a world of filters and editing, we can just be real. And feel the freedom and the lightness that brings. So I'm going to make myself a tea now. I'll be back. I didn't realize I pressed the button. I looked up and I was like, oh, the video's running. As I'm pouring myself a tea. So I'm rolling with it. Made myself a tea, put it in my flask. I love these flasks. They're amazing. Amazing. And yeah. I'm going to focus on this. Okay, maybe multitasking is not super easy. Turmeric chai. So yeah, being authentic, being true to ourselves. It's one of my challenges at the moment, is listening to what's right for me, and without, that little voice inside that's like, oh, you're so selfish, you're only thinking about yourself, and and I'm like, I'm thinking about my well-being, and if I'm happy, if I'm living my true, authentic, being my true, authentic self, I'm able to connect with people around me, with everybody. The more we can be with ourselves, the more we can be with others. And a conversation that came up yesterday was loneliness and being alone. And it's such a delicate area, because there are so many people who are very lonely, and I have a lot of compassion. Ultimately, finding joy in being alone, finding joy in our own company, is challenging. It's hard. I had an evening the other week where it was at the end of the end of the first week of my course. So I got, did my Monday to Friday. I got to Friday evening and I was in town, and I saw, people meeting and gathering and going out for drinks and dinner, and I was alone, and I reached out to some friends. Everyone was busy. It was last minute, and I was like, oh, I really didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want, I had a lot of resistance. And then I finally was like, okay, I'm going to just accept that I'm not going to stay out. I got on my bike, I cycled back, and I ended up playing guitar for 3 hours, and I ended up writing a song. And I felt so much joy at the end of that, doing something that I truly love and enjoy. And I feel so lucky to have music, but we can all have music. Every single one of us. You know, maybe it's not everybody's, you know, passion, or like, but we can all have it, or we can have writing, reading, art. Whatever it is, gardening, cooking, whatever it is. Was it Blaise Pascal, I think, that said, I'm going to get this right actually, I'm not going to rely on my brain. Google, here I come. Okay, the quote is this: all men's miseries derive from not being able to sit in a room quietly alone. Blaise Pascal. And I didn't use Google, I used Brave, but I didn't use my brain. But it was, I could have got there. That was laziness. Another lesson there. But anyway, I remember hearing that a couple of years ago. I'm writing it down and want to post it and putting it on my notice board in my office. You know, these inspiring quotes and affirmations and reminders, so that when you're alone, or when, God, my bum is getting cold. It's really true. It's really true. Sitting quietly in a room alone. And so even though I do have compassion for, you know, there's a lot of forced solitude, and I can't sit anymore, it's far too cold. I was sitting on that, not on the snow. But it's not a bag that's going to warm my little tush up. Wow, that's cold. Well, not this. But it's really true. And I wonder how the world would be if we could each embrace our own company and our own solitude with a little bit more consciousness, awareness, and courage to find a little bit of peace and a little bit more every time we do that. And, you know, in the Zen Buddhist practices of sitting with whatever emotion arises, be it good or bad, and not just wanting to get rid of the bad ones, going, oh God, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling jealous, I'm feeling whatever it is. Going, wow, and just observing it and having a little bit more distance. Going, okay, oh, wow, look at that sadness. Feel that sadness, maybe even have a cry. But with a part of us that's just a little bit removed, just observing and going, this too shall pass. I don't have to be so overwhelmed by it. We all have the ability to just take that awareness and a little bit more distance within ourselves, not to run away from it, but to observe and not be engulfed by the emotion. So it doesn't, what's the word? It doesn't control us and it doesn't run us. There is this, you know, hence the word Zen, but there is this quiet, peaceful stillness somewhere inside each of us that is probably craving for our overactive minds and our heightened emotional states to just still. So perhaps that's what the snow allows me to do. Ignite the inner child and go, hey, we can play, we can reminisce, we can fantasize. But maybe it's also a way to access that inner stillness. Look at that philosophy. Not bad for a morning walk. So on that note, I am gonna be in silence and stillness and be present with these beautiful trees, beautiful snow, and with myself. Thank you if you have watched this till the end. And if you feel drawn to do so, see how I can't even say this. Like, it's like, if you want to subscribe, go for it. I'd love it. It would be so exciting every time I see it. Well, there's one more person. Wow, and I'm happy with it all. But yeah, subscribe, like, and if you want to comment, even better. Like, just the exchange is what it's all about. So, as always, blessings, and until next time.